welcome back everybody to another exciting Small Engine Saturday. I'm your host, the Lord Duckman himself. And today we're going to have a walk around the yard and show a little bit of the small engine stuff that we're going to start working on. This is the second Small Engine Saturday video in a series. You might have remembered about a week or so ago we worked on Ranchero 302 Me's Go Kart. He had a bad carburetor on there. We put that all back together and wouldn't you know it, the thing started up on the first pull. Amazing, amazing. And you know, none of that would have been possible had it have not been for our sponsor today, which is HIPA. HIPA Store is a company that sells parts for lawnmowers and outdoor power equipment and even has parts for some go-karts. Today we have a precision screwdriver and nut driver set. Great for working on small carburetors, ignition systems, and even some delicate electronics. I know I'll be using this far beyond its intended purposes when I'm servicing my phones, tablets, as well as my outdoor power equipment. So please check out the HIPA Store website. Links are down below in the video description. Please use the links, as supporting HIPA means you're supporting me. Thanks again to the HIPA Store for sponsoring this video. So special thanks again to our friends HIPA Store, and check out the links down below in the video description. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll be back right after that intro. Alright, here's my Coleman KT196 Go Kart. This one is not unlike David's. Both the roosters are now crowing, even a little one is now crowing. You remember we extended this thing about 9.5 inches. It's remarkable how much bigger I had to make it to fit me because I couldn't get in and out of it. The only way I could is if I climbed up and over and sat in it, and then I was just really cramped. I could barely move. Here's some of the cuts that we have to finish welding up here, as a matter of fact. There we go. We'll get that taken care of. Listen to it, all kinds of things are falling down. Now, I remember it was several months ago that I was working on this and I cut it off. One of the reasons was I got distracted with other things because Eleanor came home. Needless to say, I ended up a little busy with other projects, and that's why. Well, this KT196 Go Kart, I'm making it fit me, and that's why we extended it. I'm also working on the suspension. The suspension on here, to me, didn't work right. These little shocks, I mean, there's like an inch of travel in these things. It's totally just not worth it. The suspension, however, has almost a full 4 inches of travel. So I used a moped shock that came off of my old Pook Magnum 2 moped. You can see how it mounts down below there. It actually fits in the stock mount, and it comes up through the A-arms, and then up on the top here, I can create, which is what I started to do when I was just laying things out over here, a mount for it on the top, kind of like that. And I think I'll probably build up another piece to go up in the top here to strengthen that up. But that's how we'll set that up, and that will give it full travel. Also, these boingers on here are a lot softer than the ones that came on this because those things were stiff as a board. I would stand on the front here and bounce up and down, and they would not move at all. I mean, none. These, however, are nice and soft, and I'd like to be able to drift this kart. And you know anything about building suspension on cars, you want the front to be soft, and you want the rear to be stiff, and that will allow you to drift the thing, because the fronts will then dig in properly. And the problem with this is, the rear is very soft. I mean, I'm barely putting any weight down on that at all. So I picked a set of shocks from Dad's KZ440 before we hardtailed that thing. Remember, we built that chopper way back when. What I'll do is I'll build these into here. These are going to be a whole lot stiffer for the rear, especially when you put an adult like me in here who weighs over 250 pounds. The other problem was that this engine mounts up on the trailing arm, and when you give it gas, it swings forward, especially with my weight on it, being that the suspension was so loose. That engine would then hit me right in the back. And with the old seat that was in there, it was not a comfortable proposition at all. Every time I would bump the throttle, the engine would whack, whack. Anyway, the engine is currently out. I'm going to remount it. I was also thinking about upgrading the engine, and we'll get to that in a very, very near future. As you did see, HIPA was so wonderful to send us carburetors. So I have one for both David's engine as well as this one. And this thing is kind of gross. Let me look down in there. I'm going to have to restore this tank before I do anything, and I guarantee you the carburetor is going to be equally as much of a mess. When I pull the rope, though, it's got compression, and it turns over. Doesn't feel stiff or anything. So I don't see any reason why this one wouldn't run. So I'll go over that, go through everything, and then get it mounted appropriately, and we'll get this thing going. Engine upgrade will probably be in the future. I'm thinking maybe a Rebel 250 engine. It's air-cooled, twin-cylinder, reliable Honda, not too big. I think I could probably get that mounted in there, and I won't be swing arm mounting it anymore. I'll remove this rack, and I'll build a cage for the engine to attach in, and then I'll probably run the chain down this way to a jack shaft and then back to the swing axle. These things are just in my head right now. I haven't actually drawn anything out or attempted to fit anything. This is just kind of a guess. I'm sure somebody is probably screaming. You look down in the comments, guys. You're going to see this. Somebody's screaming in the comments. Put in a CBR 600 engine or an R1 engine or something just completely outrageous and ridiculous. Put a Volkswagen engine in. It's just too much, guys. I think something like a Rebel 250 would be just fine. It's nice and air-cooled, as I said before. Keeps things simple. It means I don't have to install a radiator on the front here, because I don't want to get into all that. So I think that'll probably be good for this project. Well, it's about to rain, and I'd like to get some more done here today. And what I'd like to do is pull out the Doodlebastard. I haven't had that out since last Christmas, a year ago. That's right, Christmas of 2021. And here it is, almost New Year's of 2023, which is 1 year and 1 week from the last time I had it out. But the gas tank needed to be resealed, and I think that's what we're going to work on today. We'll put a little time into that, see if we can get it going. If we can run it up and down the street a couple times before it rains. I can already see on the horizon there, it's starting to get a little dark. It's expected to rain here in the next probably hour or two. Anyway, it's morning. You know, I don't have a whole lot left of the day, and I'm sure it's going to be just enough bad weather to ruin the day. But I need to stop talking and start conserving some of this time and get some stuff done. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting Lord Duckman production. Ha! Today we have Small Engine Saturday. That's right, we got my Doodlebastard right out here. This is something I built custom. You might remember we completely removed the engine from this thing and built it up to something that it never should have been. It's fast, guys. It's fast for such a little bike. I think we got it up to 56 miles an hour. We probably need to do a proper speed test again with more road, as that was the only reason why I couldn't go faster. Anyways, we got this gas tank here, and I resealed it, about a year ago. In fact, it was on Christmas of, well, it was Christmas a year ago, and here we have New Year's weekend now. So 1 year plus 1 week. That's exactly how long it's been. Anyway, I went in there with some of that really, really good, and you probably can't even see it. Went in there with the red coat stuff, and it had a little pinhole leak right over here, and it was so small that it just caused the side of the tank to be damp. It wouldn't even drip. It would evaporate as fast as it would get on the side of the tank. So it was just kind of like a wet spot, and I would smell gas in the garage. And I wasn't sure what it was. Eventually, I tracked it down to this thing. It was just a little wet around this corner. So I resealed the entire tank, and I laid it to dry with all that stuff to allow to pool up in this corner. In this corner, I welded this. You might remember this tank was something that I built from, of all things, Eleanor's door. This is Eleanor's old door skin, and it's all one piece of metal. I actually folded it up like an origami, welded it up the seams and then across the top, and then drilled a hole and welded a bung into it for the output. It has no fuel switch on here, but there is one screwed onto the frame, which I took off of an old CR250. Anyway, the cap is actually a Volkswagen cap because I cut the top off a Volkswagen tank. And that's what made a tank for this, because the old tank that used to be on here was part of the engine itself, because it was a Go Kart style engine or a lawnmower style engine. It just had a little bitty tank that was attached to it. Well, clearly the engine is too big to mount the tank under here anymore, so that was no longer a possibility. Boy, this thing is dirty from just sitting in the garage for the past year. I guess we'll give it a good hose off too before we take it out. Anyway, the tank needs to be remounted. Real simple. Everything's got rubber mounts. I just simply need to run the nuts and the washers on there and screw it all down and be done with it. That's all there is to it, guys. Real simple stuff. All right, now this fuel line, the way I built this thing, it's a little tricky to get it to plug into the fuel filter that's under here. There it goes. And did the fuel line go in? I think it did. Looks like it lined right up on its own. I'll show you under here how this goes. Alright, I did something I never done with this before, and it's just laid on its side. There's no fluids to leak out of it anyway, well, except oil, but there's our fuel filter. Kind of hard to get your hands in there. I actually had to take the air cleaner out and get my hands around both sides of it to get the thing plugged in. There it is. I don't think it'll leak. Looks like it's alright. Fuel line's getting a little hard, though. Ethanol fuel and all, you know. Alright, we got that in there. Now I need to start putting on the tank bolts. And I actually slipped one of the nuts on right there. You can see it. With it laying on its side, it's a whole lot easier to do because gravity's not working against me. So I get that one on there, get that snugged up. There's one on the front and another one on the other side right next to that one. So get this one snugged. Be nice if I used the swivel for that, but I didn't. Maybe next time. I'm sure somebody down in the comments already said it. Duck man, why don't you just use a swivel? I always avoid using them. I don't know why I have them, but I just don't use them. There we go. Alright. We gotta get the one up front. It looks like I brought enough extensions for that. I remember that was a little weird. Come all the way up through here. There we go. Alright, last bolt goes on the other side. Up she goes. One kickstand. Alright. This last bolt that holds the tank on, this coil is in the way. I don't remember that being an issue, but I guess it was. It's been too long. Anyway, it's just two 8mm bolts. Take this thing off. Just like that. And then there's two wires. One of them I already removed. There's this one, and then the coil wire. It can dangle right where it's at. Now, the washer and the nut, and these go up underneath. Wow. This is hard to get to. I don't remember this at all. I wish I could illustrate what my mind's eye sees. As you see, I'm doing this clearly without looking at it. As I did build this thing, so I know what I'm experiencing. Alright. There it is. Another 10mm on here. And I think this tool will reach. If not, I might have to use a ratchet. Yeah, it's not reaching. Alright, can I bring the ratchet out with me? I hope. I hope! I think the ratchet needs some lube. Yeah, it sounds like there's dirt or something in it. I'm gonna have to take that one apart and clean it. No sense in returning it, because I can fix that. And these are the older ratchets, and now when you take them back to Lowe's, because Sears no longer does it, they give you their newer stuff. There it is. Alright. Now we put our coil back on. That's interesting. The mounting tabs to it are pretty rusty. That's an electrical connection because it needs to make ground right there. So let me get a piece of sandpaper. We're going to scuff those real quick. Unscrew! There it is. Alright, how does it mount? If I don't mount it like that. Okay, so this is the side. But that cleaned up. Look at that. That's what it looked like. Yeah, right there. So that didn't take much at all. Just a little surface rust. That might have been from when the hurricane threw this thing across the yard. This thing was in my storage shed at the time, parked next to Ruby, and the shed ended up in the tree, and the DoodleBastard was tossed across the yard. So I guess it got hung up in the tent, like the tent was a parasail, and just threw it. Anyway, it laid out in the rain after that. And then not long after that, I brought it inside, but it was wet. Okay. Put our coil back on here. Yeah, hurricane really made a mess of things. In one of my sheds, I had a lot of computer parts. A lot of more older legacy things, but stuff that you just can't get anymore. And for fixing some of my older machines, they were somewhat important. And once that stuff got wet, and you can imagine computer parts don't like moisture, then I had to throw them all away. And I was filling up the trash can here to the top for weeks after that. I had so much that went out. And I recycled a little bit that I had that was e-scrap stuff. I think I made maybe $100. Certainly wasn't worth what the parts would have cost me had I had to buy them somewhere. My fingers are just too fat. Duckman and your big damn fingers. I was telling my mom the other day it was her fault that I don't fit in cars. I can't find shoes, gloves don't fit me, motorcycle helmets. I have trouble getting in and out of some cars. It's all her fault. And she said, well, you should blame your father too. I was like, I did. Now it's your turn. Here we go. Good. All right. You know what's left? Air cleaner. When I mounted this engine in the frame, I did not take into consideration the spacing of the carburetor in here or the air cleaner. And man, I got lucky because it just barely fits. It takes a little bit of force to get it in there. What am I doing wrong here? Come on, it's not normally that hard to do. Yeah. There it goes. And is it on? Yep, it's on. Okay. What's left? Gas. Let's go ahead and fuel them up. And I should have, oops, guess it's in gear. Alright, should have enough. Yeah, I should have enough to crank it. It's been on a battery tender for the last year, but I did take it off around Halloween. Alright, fuel is currently in the off position. Had to check the switch. Ooh, still smells like red coat a little bit, but it should be dry. I mean, this thing is, I capped it up a long time ago. It's just got the smell stuck in it. I thought I replaced the spark plug cap some time ago. This one's cracked. You know what? The whole damn spark plug is coming out. I gotta tighten up that spark plug. Cap has always been a little difficult to remove for some reason. Oh, wow. That's not just loose. Wow, that's looser than something you'd find downtown. Let's just pull it out and have a look at it just for grins. I don't think I've ever checked the color on a spark plug. I just assumed the jetting was right. Oh boy, that's a little black. Little sooty, just a little bit brown. It's dry though. Hasn't been running since forever. Yeah, I might need to lean up the jet on it a little bit. Duckman, don't over tighten it. You know you can strip that thing out with a ratchet. Yeah, I can also strip it out with an impact. Ho ho ho! Alright, let's put that cap on there. Good. Alright, check the sight glass for oil. There it is. We're good. Alright, so that's not an issue. Figured I'd do that because somebody's gonna call me out. Alright, let's see how much of this I spill everywhere. This tank is pretty full. Usually make some kind of mess. I meant to do a gas tank capacity contest for people to guess the capacity of this thing. I forgot. It's small. But this thing gets such great gas mileage, the thing just runs and runs and runs. Despite some of the people telling me when I was building this thing that the gas tank is way too small. It's actually plenty big for this thing. I mean, not like I'm trying to ride cross country with it, right? Some people would think so. Alright, there it is. So, that should be good. Oh, I want to put my breather tube on here, because if it squirts every time I hit the brakes, it's gonna... Alright, get that situated. I wonder how I had this run. Let's just through here. Yes, Boomer, I know you're there. Come here, buddy. Every time I'm working, he comes around to play. I love you too, buddy. Good boy. Alright. Go away. Nice landing, once again. Good job, buddy. Alright, here we are. Get this down here. Don't want it to touch the exhaust pipe. He just came back and he's biting me again already. Come here, you. There he is. Alright, I think he likes this. Go. Good landing again. Good job, buddy. Alright, we're almost ready to get this thing started. In fact, I think we are ready to get it started. Alright, fuel is on, ignition's on, choke is on. Oh, throttle's sticky stuck. Yuck. Something's definitely wrong there. I wonder if it'll even start. And of course, now the battery's flat. Cranked just fine a minute ago. In between recording, I hit the button and it cranked over. I expected it to be fine, but yeah, now it's not. Alright, well anyway, I guess we're pulling the carburetor off because it's crappy. Turn the ignition back off, turn the fuel back off. I need a 10mm. The air cleaner's got to come back out. Well, the last time I ran this thing, I thought I ran it dry. I guess I thought wrong. Hate when that happens. Good news is the carburetor comes off rather easily. Two 10mm nuts, one here and one directly across from it on the other side. And get this out the way. Alright. Come straight back. Uh-oh. I hear raindrops. Why is the throttle cable all stuck? Alright, we have other problems going on here. Including the fuel just came disconnected. Now I gotta quickly because it's gonna make a mess. Man, what is going on with this throttle cable? Feels like it's pinched somewhere. Alright. Well, anyway, let's just take the carburetor off. We'll figure that out in a minute. Probably just misrouted. Alright. 3 screws on the bottom of this thing, get it out. Oh god, I just made a mess on the ground now. Forgot that they hold fuel and I just dumped it out everywhere. Duckman, you're an idiot. Yeah, there was definitely some gunk settled in there. I must have left the fuel on the last time I must have not ran it dry the last time I had this thing out. Anyway, a little bit of carburetor cleaning. There's only one jet. No, there's 2. There's an idle jet and a couple of passageways, but we'll get it situated and put it back on. Wow, it's getting dark out here. I mean, no joke. It is getting dark. Wow. Turn up the exposure a little bit. That helps. Anyways, yeah. I'm gonna bring this in. I gotta run to the store for some carburetor cleaner anyway. And ooh, there's a socket there. I'll pick that up with some of the wrenches and stuff, and then we'll get this carburetor cleaned out, put it back together, and hopefully we still have some decent enough weather to do some recording, or maybe it'll be a break between showers. I guess we'll see. No sooner I got everything inside, and I mean, you can see it started to get sprinkled on, man. It just started pouring. Oh man. And it is dark out here. I don't know why the camera looks so blue. I guess probably because I was looking at artificial light before I pointed it outside here. There we go. Anyways, guess I'm a little bit slowed down on this one, but I'm gonna keep working on it right where she sits. It's a little hard to work in here. I don't have a lot of space, but we're gonna do it anyway. I knew it was gonna rain, but I really didn't expect it like this. Woohoo! It's like way hard to see with all this rain, but the body on that car, or the alignment, is crooked. The car's not aiming straight. It's aimed all cockeyed to the left, but it's going in a straight line. And his turn signal's still on, going through every intersection here with a left-hand signal on. Driving like a dipshit. Wow, then it goes from bad to worse. Woo! Alright. Just working in my toolbox drawer because I don't have a clear workbench at the moment. I did rename my YouTube channel, as you guys probably noticed, to something much more humble because it's really not Lord Duckman's garage, it's more like Lord Duckman's driveway. I think that's a more honest representation of what I do here. Anyway, this carburetor is all green on the inside. Look at that. Especially down there in the bottom, in the lowest part. I don't think I've ever seen them turn green like that before. I mean, it smells like bad gas too, but I didn't, or at least I thought I didn't, leave any fuel in it, but with the way everything is sticking, it's pretty awful. The slide, well, which was here, there it is. You can see the needle on it has all the goo. So that's what caused it to stick when I twisted it, and then it finally broke free, and then it wouldn't go back down. So, anyway, yeah. That, probably doesn't need much to clean that up. Yeah, that came right off. Whatever that green stuff is, which smells like bad gas, but looks like algae. It doesn't even look like copper, it looks like algae. Yeah, it's not a coppery green kind of color. Otherwise, the carburetor is pretty clean, all things considering. The main jet is nasty. We'll pull that out and get that sucker cleaned up. Kind of nice working right here in the toolbox because everything is immediately available. Yeah, this is weird, but I guess I can get used to it. Go. Alright, let's get this jet out of here. Main jet. These are the same jets that go in the carburetors on my Kawasaki Ninja 250. It's a smaller size though, but it's the same jet. Whatever that green stuff is, man, it just comes right off. Actually, that made it turn blue. That's even weirder. Maybe it is some kind of coppery stuff. I don't know what would be coppery in here. I mean, this brass does contain some amount of copper. Well, maybe it's just some cheap metallurgy. Oh, of course, my little adjustable wrench, which I would normally use on this, is not adjustable anymore. It's okay. I happen to have an answer to that, too. Yes, sir. Oh, nothing like getting it everywhere. Let's hear it for P-Blaster, man. It's already starting to work. I must have left this outside or something at some point. I like this little adjustable wrench. And sure, I can dig through my drawer here and pick out the right sized wrench if I wanted to, but this is the one that I've always used for working on this kind of stuff. Ew. That jet is in there good. Uh-oh. I might mangle it. Might be a little stuck. Blaster in there. See if that does it any good. We'll try a bigger screwdriver too while we're at it. I think that one might be too big. That's what she said. Yep. This jet looks like it's Caesar-doodled. Ah! Didn't take much with just a pair of pliers on it. Okay. Get this cleaned out. Not much to these carburetors. They're only slightly less sophisticated than something you find on a Volkswagen, with less adjustments, no accelerator pump, and it has a slide and a needle instead of a butterfly. Alright, how's the main jet? Oh, it's plugged. I can't see through it. Yeah, I can't see through it at all, so this was definitely part of an issue. Now I can see through it. Good. That goes in there. And I know the float is doing what it's supposed to do. Because it was flowing gas, and in fact, anywhere that the float was in the upper parts of the carburetor, there's no green. This is the idle jet here. And I am betting that's probably clean also. Oops, that's a Phillips. That's a Phillips. Here's my flat. Wrong flat. This one was not submerged in that green shit either, so this one's probably fine. Oh yeah, this is clear. I can see through it. I'm gonna give it a clean anyway. And then, oh, the little straw fell off my damn cleaner already. Like it just fell off. Mother goat bastard shit dog dick. Where did it even go? Oh, that makes me so angry. Got a straw from the second can I had. It's got to be here somewhere. It just probably boink went flying off. Okay, get down inside of here. Clean that out just for grins. Probably fine, but clean it anyway. This is not a severely gummed up carburetor. This was you know, and I might have actually run it dry because it didn't look like it was that much fuel left in it. Or maybe I should say I ran it sort of dry. Maybe to the point that it was, you know, hardly running at all rather than continuing to try to restart it. Oh, that's my mixture screw. Really don't want to take that out, but I guess I should. Alright, let's count the turns. Count with me, guys. 1/2, 1 turn. 1 1/2, 2 turns, and we're 2 1/4 roughly. Okay, from tight. We're gonna clean behind this. Yeah, that looks a little yucky. There we go, just like new. And then clean the passageway. Back in. Okay. Tight. 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 2 1/4. Good. Alright. I'm gonna clean down inside the body, just in case the slide area was a little gummy. Just too much on my hand, man. Just give the body of it a little bit of a cleaning here. Yeah, overall, this thing was not in bad a shape. This actually was a new carburetor. Because the one that I had on that engine had issues. Alright, and now the bowl. Look at this, nasty. Yeah, I've never seen one that green before. Let me show you in better light. Look at that. Green, man. Alright, let's hose it. Might just let that soak. This is doing a really good job of removing green. Whatever that green stuff is. Gangrene! It's carburetor gangrene! Ew, guys, it's so gross! This stuff, you really shouldn't get it on your hands too much. Warning! This product can expose you to chemicals, including toluene, rather, which is in the state of California known to cause birth defects. Well, it's a good thing I'm already born, right, guys? Alright, contains carbon dioxide. Whoa! Yeah, the toluene is really not good for you. Acetone is... yeah, that's very debatable. Some people say acetone will kill you, but acetone is actually found naturally in your body, believe it or not. And the funny thing about that stuff is your liver can metabolize it just about as fast as it can get to it. So in other words, for you to become harmed by acetone in such a way, or poisoned by it, you'd have to drink it. That's a lot of acetone, guys. Just getting a little bit on your hands, or even using some on a rag to wipe some paint off of your fingers or something, yeah, that's really not going to cause you any damage to speak of. This is not coming out of here as well as I thought it would have. It might be a job for Simple Green. I wonder if Simple Green takes off green. It's taking off its own kind. Ah! Yeah, this carburetor wasn't quite bad enough to throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Otherwise, that's where it would be right now. Alright, we're going to let that soak, and I'm going to come back to it. Alright, we're back, and it's been soaking. Looks like it did okay. I think it's about as good as it's going to be on account of it appearing that... Look in a better light here. It looks like it's just corroded. So that must have been some kind of moisture in there and not gas. Maybe it wasn't entirely me. I do have a little Q-tip here to help try to loosen up some of the dirt and stuff, but it doesn't look like there's any dirt. Nothing's loosening up. But our green did disappear. Yeah, I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. Alright, well, there it goes. Flash it outside. Yeah, that's not too bad. That actually looks pretty damn good. I think if I wanted any better than that, I would sandblast it. Alright, well, I think we're good in that department then. Okay, that means that the bottom here, the bowl, can go back onto the carburetor. It did have the rubber O-ring already in place. When I assembled this originally, yeah, the carburetor came not as one piece, and this O-ring was not the shape of the bowl. It was kind of round, it's more of an oval shape. Anyway, I had to put it into this groove and make it sit, but now, after time of it having sat in here, it actually has since conformed to shape. But it was a beast to get it to sit properly. But it should be good from now out. Okay, here we go. Put this bowl back on here. Don't know why they put this long of screws in here with this many turns. Kind of unnecessary. I think you only need about, 3 or 4 complete turns. Not only do they run through the carburetor, they run way through the carburetor. There we go. Fantastic. Alright, as far as the slide is concerned, you shouldn't grease these, because grease is 2 components. It's an oil and a wax, and over time the oil will disappear and the wax will stay there and it'll cause it to get sticky. But what you can do is you can put a little P-blaster on it. That'll get it going. Now over time, of course, the P-blaster is going to disappear, so if you're having problems with sticky slide, you need to evaluate why. It might be having to do with gasoline getting gunky in there. Otherwise it feels smooth on the inside of the bore, so I think we're good. Let's just drop this down in there and make sure that it does move like it's supposed to. Where's the knob at? There's a little nub inside of there and it lines up with this groove. You need to make sure it lines up with that. There it is. Uh-oh. Get back in there. There it is. Yeah, the action of it feels nice and smooth. There's no reason why the spring shouldn't be able to push that down. But I'm going to P-blaster it anyway. And you don't need much. Because remember, anything you put in here is going to eventually wind up in the engine. So technically, you're lubricating the inside of your engine. Oh, that makes it so much better. For whatever it's worth. It'll be a little better for a little while. And then, of course, it's going to get friggin' sticky again. Okay, at this point, it's ready to be reassembled back on the bike. I can't put the slide back together on anything until the cable is in it, so let's go ahead and see if I can get a good camera angle in here, and we'll start putting this thing back together. Alright, I had to go and change my shirt for a second time, because I got rained on again going down to the mailbox, and man, it's just pouring out there. But anyway, this carburetor needs to go back on. It's got an O-ring in here too, which should seal it up so there's no gasket. Our fuel line is down here. It's real short. This can be real tricky to get this assembled. And at the same time, while doing that, I also have to get the throttle cable in, which before we were having an issue with it. It was like pinched. I'm going to have to look into that. Anyway, the throttle cable has to be assembled first. And then while the cable's on, I got to weasel the carburetor in, push the fuel line in, and then slide it up on the studs. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, after doing some digging around under there, I found the throttle cable was indeed stuck. It was pinched under the gas tank in just such a way that I was able to shimmy it free. But it has to take a very specific route or it will not fit in here. And that's one of the things about this bike. This engine, probably as my dad would have worded it, never should have ought to be. This engine does not belong inside of this little bike at all. Just, I made it work. I had to stretch the frame up a little bit this way, and space comes at a premium. So it's really hard to get things fitted onto this bike, and it's just the way it is. We need to start putting some of the stuff in here now. Let's see, here's our carburetor. Gotta get the slide out of there. There it is, coming up. Boink! Okay, we got our carburetor crown. Put this in here first. Like that. And we got our spring. Needs to go in here next. This can be a little tricky if you're not good with your hands. It's usually how I do it. I just push it up like that. And then push the cable through the slide. Just like this. Once you've got that through that far, the rest of it's easy. And one thing I did forget to put in is the little rubber gogie, but the little rubber gogie is a pain in the ass. It doesn't like to sit flat. So what I've learned to do is stretch it around the slide just like that. And then when I go and slide the slide in here, you see where I'm going with this. Alright? Push this down. Up, and I fucked up already. Damn it, Duckman! You're a fool! Yeah, when that spring lets go and things start flying around, it's a little wonky. Okay. Make sure we're lined up over here like we're supposed to be. There it goes. And that should solve our throttle problem that we had. Choke still feels good. Throttle's now doing what it's supposed to do. Well, it's not returning 100%, but that might be up in here. Yeah, it gets to the bottom and it slows down. Could also be because my cable somewhere is at a weird angle or something. Weird angle Yankovic. Yeah, it's probably up in here. In fact, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, I think we're good. Alright. Get this carburetor back on here. We got these two 10mm nuts. One goes on the one side, the other goes on the other side. Before we get that far, I gotta put the fuel line on, and the little barb that's right here, this can be real dicky to get it on. Again, space comes at a premium, so it's really hard to get under here and push everything together. I got a pair of Enos here that I took out just for it. Where did I put them? I took them out just for this job. Where are they? These are the wrong ones, but they'll work. Not the same ones. Little overpriced Snap-on guys. I gotta be real careful under here that I don't knock a fuel line off of something else while I'm shoving this in. I think I did okay. Nothing's leaking. And this nut, I don't know if you can see it well enough. Yeah, the lighting in here is friggin' bad. It's just really bad, guys. I'm sorry, but it got dark. I was not expecting to, yeah, I can't even adjust the exposure on that at all. Ah! Anyway, the nut that goes on the stud here, the idle screw is kind of in the way. So you have to pull the carburetor back to get the nut started. And then once you got it started, you push the carburetor on and spin the nut into position. For whatever reason, it doesn't want a finger turn. See if I can get a wrench on it. If it turns easy, yeah. If it turns easy with a wrench, it's clearly not cross-threaded. It must just be something in the threads. And that's it. Just needed a little more than Duckman fingers could give it. I've been in relationships like that. Alright. Same thing on the other side. And I should have charged that battery. I don't know. Let's try to crank it. If it cranks, it cranks. If it doesn't, well, then we'll charge it. It's going to be loud as hell, too, because I don't have any mufflers on this thing right now, so I'm not going to rev it much, because I'm going to go deaf. Got the door open, because I don't feel like smelling exhaust. I think I turned a few on, didn't I? Yeah, it was on. Alright, choke is on. And push button to start. I really thought that would have fired. Huh, I wonder what's wrong. Take the screwdriver, loosen the bottom of the carburetor, right here. Fuel comes out, we got gas. No, nothing came out. Alright, where's the fuel stopped at? Going past the filter. Might be a bubble in the line. You see this fuel line, it comes out of the tank through a filter, then it goes up, and it's almost at the same level, the switch, as the outlet. And then it kind of goes back down to the carburetor, so it requires a little bit of a siphoning effect. And again, this is due to space limitations of what's inside of here. With a full tank, it will usually force it down, and once it starts flowing, it'll flow until the tank is empty without an issue. But I have to get that initial air bubble out of the line. And sometimes the easiest way to do it is to stand the bike up vertically. Just put it right up on its back tire and let it stand there just for a second or two, and you can watch the bubble push right through, and then it'll start up just fine. So that's probably what we're experiencing here. I'm a little in little tight quarters to be dicking around with it, but I guess we'll see what we can do. But actually, there was enough room. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. All right, did we get our bubble out? Let's find out. Anyway, look at the lovely puddle right there on the floor. Reason why is because I still had a little valve open on the bowl of the carburetor, and while I was leaning the thing over, yeah, it started finally dripping through. So it should start just fine right now, and hopefully we don't blow ourselves up, but I took the battery charger off. As you know, it probably has a little more charge from before. Let's see if it still does. I guess I should put the choke on. Okay, here we go. Seriously? I really expected it to start that time. Maybe now it's flooded. Alright, well that's highly annoying. Okay. Alright, well, the battery went flat, so I put the charger back on it again, and let's see what happens. I really don't know why it's not starting up. I really have no idea. Alright, checking to make sure we got fuel in the carburetor. Yep, it's dripping out the bottom. Well, we had spark before, because clearly we had some kind of ignition. Why do we have nothing? Let's go ahead and close the choke, or open the choke, I should say. And let's try juicing it just a little bit. Because it will start on this if there is any kind of fuel problem still. Alright, there we go. Might have been flooded. Yeah, that's what it was. It was flooded. Okay, well we're running. Yay! I can take the charger off. Now it'll charge itself. But now it's pitch black outside, and that means we're not going for a ride. I can also see my breath. And it's starting to get cold. Still gotta fix that throttle. Well, it's nice to see that it works. And it's nice to see the tank's not leaking again. But I guess the true test is let it sit overnight and see if the side of the tank gets damp again, because that's how we knew the last time. And I gotta find my mufflers to this thing. They're around somewhere. There it is. Turn our power off. Okay, I think we're good to run this thing tomorrow. Good, as soon as the sun comes up, man, I'm gonna be outside tearing up the neighborhood, making all kinds of noise. Now I gotta bring the chickens in, and I don't want them walking through this oily shit here on the floor. So, anyway, right. It's the next day. It's 75 degrees out. A huge departure from the weather that was just several days ago when it was down in the teens. Man, it's actually a little hot out here in the sun. Oh, look who came to visit. He's back again. Goodbye, Boomer. Nice landing. You did it again. Anyways, we got this thing running as you saw yesterday, and we're going to take this thing out for a little ride today, and hopefully it should start up just fine. It's cold. It's been sitting. Who's to say? It was quirky yesterday. Maybe it'd just be the same today. So let's have a look and see what we got. Power on. Let's see, put the choke on. And start button. Yes. Guess we'll go for a ride. I forgot how easily it does that. Well, that little doodle bastard was just as fun as I always remembered, and it ran just as well as it ever did. So, special thanks to HIPA today for sponsoring this video, and a big thanks to everybody that watches, that liked, comment, and subscribed, and of course, pluck the dingle bellies to get updates every time I upload a video. You guys check out duckshit.net for all my different social media links, as well as my other YouTube channels. That's right, I do more than just this, and you can find some of that stuff up there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Hey, by the way, Happy New Year. I guess this video comes out on New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year, you guys, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.